In this knife talk video, we're going to be talking about this knife. This is a Great Eastern Cutlery Titty number 85 Teardrop in smooth rotten banana bone. So if you saw my 1-minute overview, you might notice that this is a different knife than that knife. And that's because in my mad rush to try to get one of these, after realizing that the dealer who I normally buy Great Eastern Cutlery knives from wasn't going to be able to have one for me, I ended up getting one from someone else. So I actually bought this one from Old Town Cutlery. I messaged them. Melissa from Old Town Cutlery got back to me really quickly and said that they did have one. So I said that I'd take it. This is that one. The one that I previously did the 1-minute overview on, this one, actually came from the dealer who I normally buy knives from, Blue Creek Cutlery. After I had already paid for this one, Ken from Blue Creek Cutlery messaged me saying that someone had fallen through on their pre-order reservation or whatever. I guess reservation. And so if I still wanted it, I could get one. I'm not keeping both of these. I don't really do that. I don't keep two of a knife, although I've considered it because I use all my knives, so sometimes I've considered keeping one as a spare because these are so hard to get sometimes. But I'm not going to keep two of these knives. I honored that reservation. I told Ken that I would take it because, to be honest, I pestered him a lot about this knife and the GEC 99 in elk. And I felt like it would probably be a little bit ridiculous for me to not take it after I'd pestered him, emailing him many times about the knife and everything. And I was seeing some of these knives come out that were a little more rotten than I was hoping. And actually, I got this one from Ken, even though I paid for it later first. He does ship knives quickly. Even around the holidays, this knife came in just a few days. As you saw in my 1-minute overview of it, this one's very rotten. So it's mostly black on the front, some brown here, a little bit of yellow poking through, and then even some white where it's really no dye got in really there. And then on the back side, not really great matched sides. I mean, that's not a huge deal to me normally, but it's almost like an Appaloosa bone type on this back. So, kind of unevenly dyed. Only a tiny little bit of yellow, mostly brown, and then again some white. So, this one it's a well-made knife. This one was centered really perfectly, as you can see, no gaps, and pretty good action. Snappy open, not quite as snappy closed. I haven't oiled this one at all because I am going to be selling it. But I got this one later. Actually, this one cost a little bit more, about $5 more. And I think that's just because they charge for shipping. Not a huge deal. But it did get here a few days later. It's also a really nice knife. Now, this looks more like a rotten banana to me. So there's very clearly yellow, and then there's some bruises. So just like how an actual rotten banana is, there's bruising. And these ones are matched really well. There's 3 bruises on this side, 3 bruises on this side. You can see it's nice and yellow outside of the bruises on both sides. This one came slightly off center towards the mark side, the side with the shield, and also it does have a little scratch that it came with kind of at the stem of the banana there. So otherwise, it's really well made, no gaps. One nice thing, these banana shields seem to be well put into the handles. Some of the more different shields can sometimes have some space and stuff, but these don't seem to. No gaps, as you can see, really nice. And no cracks, no problems with the pins or anything like that I've seen. This one came a little bit higher. I actually dropped the kick slightly on this one because it's the one I'm keeping. And another reason that I am keeping this one is because it is slightly off-centered and there's that little scratch. Because those are things that I don't really care about much on a knife. Like I say, I'm going to use this knife. since it's a keeper, and I don't really care about that on this knife. Now this one I did put some oil on, and it's a little snappier than the first one that I got. No blade play, which is really not often an issue with GECs, but you can see it snaps closed a little bit more, and again, that's probably because I put some oil on it. Again, like I talked about in the 1 minute overview, this is a teardrop, and the teardrop frame or pattern is smaller at the top bolster, thinner, and then kind of a curve to a bulbous area towards the bottom, and then rather than a rounded bolster like this, it is a pointed bolster. So I actually wasn't initially interested in these 85s. I thought it was kind of a waste of space to have this pointed area here, and I just wasn't sure that it was a frame that I liked the looks of. Now that I've gotten it, I do like it, and here's why. Another thing was that I wasn't sure that it would make sense against this knife. So this is a Gradation Cutlery 78, American Jack. I always forget, the 78 and the 77 are the American Jack and the Yankee Jack, and I can never remember which. But so to compare these two, the 78 is definitely the bigger knife. But if you compare the blade length, it's pretty similar. So they're about matched up edgewise here, and it's pretty much right on. I can't see too much of a difference there. Now, to match the handles, interestingly enough, I'm gonna see if I can match these up pretty well here. Interestingly enough, they're about the same also, if not the 85 being a little shorter. So I'm not exactly sure why that is. I don't know if the tang area is longer on the 78, but to show them closed here, you can see that there is some extra space on the 78 from the end of the tip to the end of the knife. So, you know, that's one of the things that I thought I might not like about the 85 that I ended up liking, is that it's actually fits a good amount of blade into this frame. So that's something that I ended up liking. And this is a good comparison. You can see the frame of the 78 are more straight sides, whereas this is more of a bulbous. It's very similar to like a bowling pin with a sharp bottom rather than a flat bottom. That's how I would call it. I would call this part looks like a bowling pin, and then the bolster is like an addition onto the bottom of the bowling pin. Whereas on a normal jack, the sides are pretty straight. So that's to compare it with this. But another comparison with this knife is the blade shape. So this knife is more of a traditional spear point, I would say. It's more of like on a Swiss Army knife, kind of a little straighter, again, a little less bulbous. Whereas on the 85, it's really thin. It's actually less tall at the tang than the 78, and then it gets actually wider at the belly than the 78. So kind of a cool blade shape. I actually like it. I think it'll be a good blade shape for use. So I'm happy with that. And it's another thing that I wasn't sure that I would like, that once I have it in hand, I do like it. So that's another difference here between a normal jack with a spear point and this 85 teardrop jack. So that's kind of the frame itself. And then to talk about the whole, one thing, this knife, the 78s are really smooth. I had a smooth white, I actually had two different smooth white bones from this run, and then this one is a Rendezvous parts knife. Really, some of the smoothest knives GEC has made from my experience. This one's not quite as smooth. It feels like they tightened down the pivot a little bit more on this one, but it's still smooth. Not really an issue, I would say. Maybe just a little bit less smooth, and I'm sure that it will break in pretty well once I've used it and carried it some. But to talk about why the banana. So someone asked that on my 1 minute overview of this, and the true answer is I don't know exactly who thought of doing the banana or why, but I do know that GEC has a great tendency to do kind of quirky things, and that's what I like, actually. I like quirky, different knives. Sometimes I like garish knives. And I think it just makes it more fun. If every knife looked the same, it wouldn't be any fun being a knife enthusiast. So the reason I decided to get this knife, the 85 and Rotten Banana Bone, is because I had this knife. Now these are the only two knives that GEC has made with this banana shield, and I don't know if it was Bill Sr. or Bill Jr., who decided to make the banana shield, but I like it. I think it's interesting. I think it's funny. I think people who aren't knife people see it and think it's funny, and it's pretty recognizable. It's not hard to tell what it is when you look at it. Now this knife is green banana bone, and as far as I know, it's the first time that they did green banana bone. It was supposed to have more of a green hue, I think, than mine turned out to have. You can see that mine is pretty much straight up yellow with maybe a very, very slight green tint to it. But I really like this knife. I really like actually the pattern. I like the blade shape combination and stuff. But this is green banana bone with the banana shield, and they decided to use the banana shield again on this rotten banana bone. So green banana, a little bit before you'd want to eat it, rotten banana, a little bit after you want to eat it, a lot after you want to eat it. But I decided to get this because I don't really collect patterns. Some people buy every knife from a run. I don't do that. I just don't have the funds to do that. But if I'm able to get kind of things like this, I do enjoy doing that. So they've done smooth rotten banana bone before, but not with this shield. So I decided, since they're using the shield again and I really like the shield on this knife, I'd get this one and try it out, and I'm happy that I did. Another kind of quirky handle style that I like is this one. A lot of people don't like this one, but this is the glitter gold. If you like this knife, check out my playlist of videos. I have a few different knives in this, and I think it's really cool. But again, something that not everyone likes, this banana shield, but I really do. I think it's interesting, and I'm happy to have gotten this one to go with this. I think that this, out of these three, hits the proposed or intended look the best. So this really does look like rotten banana. This one just looks like banana. Doesn't really hit the green banana quite as well. This one, in my opinion, is a little over rotten looking. Now, I had someone say that this was the best looking of the rotten banana bones that they had seen. If that's you and you want to buy it, I'm going to be selling it. But it's a little more than I had hoped for. So anyway, these are the Great Eastern Cutlery number 85 teardrops in smooth rotten banana bone. And I really enjoy this one. I'm going to be keeping this one, and I will post an update probably after I've used it some. And I'm going to be selling this one, but I'm glad to have gotten them. I'm glad to have gotten to pick which one I wanted. And I didn't intend to take one away. I know that they were hard to get, and that's why I ended up with two. I don't really ever buy multiples of knives to keep other people from getting them or anything like that. It's just that sometimes you send out a lot of emails trying to get one of these knives, and you end up getting things crossed and having two that are with your name on it. So anyway, keep an eye out for an update on this. If you're interested in this one, you can let me know, or just keep an eye out. And thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you like the video, hit the like button. It's always good to know what people are enjoying with my videos, and feel free to leave any comments below. And if you enjoy my videos in general and like to get updates on them, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to go out and do good.